Welcome to the Age of Ruin and Exploration Lone Wolf Play Along, a sword and sorcery style adventure. This is where you can take your PC you've created, bring it along with us, and then basically go on a legit game with the legit dungeon master who is I, Don Franco 3. This is RPG Boons. And today we're going to do, it's sort of a part 3, but it can be a standalone. This is Insane Abbeys. I think it'll be the last real in-town kind of situation. If you haven't been here before, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through a PC creation. Then we're gonna, that's gonna take around 20 minutes or so, something like that. And then we're just gonna directly go into playing our Age of Ruin and Exploration game. So, a couple of things to say right before we get started is that we're going to be using a 1E, 5E hybrid game called Shadowdark. Okay, so if you've played any edition of Dungeons and Dragons, then this is going to be extremely familiar with you. So you have to have at least a little bit of a general experience of how to play role-playing games, at least for any D&D, Pathfinder, Dungeon Crawl Classics. All these have the same type of strength, dexterity. They have difficulty class check, stuff like that. So this is the best thing you can do is know how to play those games, and you'll be able to play right along. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is if you've already played this before, I want you to level up your PC again. It can be anywhere between level 3 and 6, even 7 would be fine. Make sure you get yourself a magical item. I would even argue that if you are 7th level, let's say, go ahead and give yourself 2 magic items. Now, don't make them overpowered. I'm going to show you how to make magic items here in this video, so you can actually, if you want, you can skip forward to that. This is being recorded live, this minimal editing, just like I used to live stream it, but now I'm just doing these pre-recordings because I was having so much issues with my live stream. So we're going to make some mistakes sometimes. You're going to make me fumble about. So if you have a little bit of Dungeon Master experience or you're good at improvising, you'll know where to kind of fix whatever I might have missed. So with that being said, anytime there's a check, and I don't say what the difficulty class is, it's a DC 10. Okay, so they're gonna also skip to any timestamps. So if you've already ready to go and you've played before, you just skip them. If the image on your phone, if you're playing on your phone, seems a little blurry for any reason, it's probably the resolution. You can typically go there and change the resolution of your video, get higher quality. And this is live, so it tends to be a little slower. I don't care what live show you watch online. Unless they have to get the gap, which I have seen, it runs a little slower. So if you need to bump it up to 1.25, and in fact, you can bump it up to like 1.1, 1.2 even on the settings if you use your finger manually. With that being said, we are going to use the 2-point action system, which is something I created basically to solve the general math problem for OSR games, and we'll go over that a little bit more detail, because if you already know how to use it, then you're good to go. And this game is compatible. Again, it's a Shadowdark system, but it's compatible with Torchlight, which is a very kind of minimalist 1E, 5E hybrid. There's D&D 1E, 2E, BX, BECME, Old School Essentials, Osric, White Box, Basic, and all these right here that I'm saying, the Age of Ruin and Exploration is compatible with all these. If at any certain time that there's a tier 1 spell being cast and there's no cantrips, right? Because we're using Shadowdark rules, there's no cantrips. So anytime you cast a spell in Shadowdark, you can keep casting it until you fail. Once you fail, you can no longer cast the spell. That's just the rule. And that's what I'll be essentially thinking about when we're running this game. But if you do use cantrips, those are going to be considered tier 1 spells. If you're playing a game like Sagaborn, those are any spells that cost 0 1 point. Those are going to be your tier 1 spells. And this is also relevant for the second spell attack that you're allowed to take, second spellcast you're allowed to take for 2-point action system. And usually if there's no cantrips, the spells are either level 1, rank 1, or circle 1. Okay, so let's go in without any further wait here. We're going to start the character creation process. So first things first, if this is your first time here, you can go to shadowdarklings.net/create, or if you just put shadowdarklings.net, you should go to where the Kickstarter was and find the button to click to this. Now, because I'm just going to be showing you generally how to create a character, I'm not going to click on all these scrolls. These scrolls are all essentially supplements and have classes in them. If you have the time, look through them. There's a ranger class, there's a dark paladin class, there's a dungeon delver and whatnot. But just for the sake of creating a character, we're going to not look at the scrolls just so we can get through this real quick. So first things first, make sure it's on random 1. best fit, because that's going to make sure your stat scores or ability scores are going to be optimal for whatever class you choose. And then you just hit generate random character. Okay, so you can see here I generated a fighter. Scroll down a little bit. Fighter should have the highest, stat, maybe in strength, dexterity, maybe even constitution. In this case, they give it to constitution to make sure, I guess, the fighter had sufficient hit points, even though con is a lot less useful in Shadowdark. You only get the first time around, then after that's just your hit dice. So you can see it basically creates everything for you. Okay, so then you can scroll all the way down towards the bottom. You can get, you can manipulate these. There's a lot of tabs here. Just for today, we're going to do level 3. This is just the easiest way to kind of look at the things that you can do with this creator. So you go to advancement, you can do XP milestones, so you can get XP points, which is cool, but we're just going to do milestone, gain to level 3. And then it lets you roll your hit points for level 2. You can see as hit points increased, you can add more hit points for level 3, and you gain a talent at level 3. So now you can roll for that. Okay, so +1 melee and ranged attacks, which is a fighter. Gives you the name, whatnot. But if you were just ready to go, you can hit the PDF button here, and it'll essentially create a PDF on your web browser. Or if you're using like a home computer, if you have PDF, Adobe or something, some default PDF viewer, it'll open it up there probably. But if you were unhappy, let's say again, these stats are a little garbage, right? The strength of 12, the con's okay, I guess. But if you wanted something different, you can actually keep hitting generate a random character. Okay, so bam. Here's a priest, should have high wisdom. And again, I'm not sure what's going on here, but anyway, you can keep clicking this. So here's a thief, here's a fighter, here's a priest again, 13 wisdom. And you can essentially, I would say, click this until you get a solid 16 somewhere, maybe a 17. And then if you want, you can, generate the character and save it until you actually decide which one you want to keep. So here, 14 strength, here's a barbarian, fighter, background barbarian. I'm just not digging. Okay, bam. This half orc fighter is a beast. 15 strength, 12 dexterity, 16 constitution, 15 intelligence. Like, this is an amazing roll up. So we're just going to make this guy. And you can do this. This is perfectly legit. Okay, so we're going to make him a fighter base character. We're going to go again to gain level 1, 2, 3. We're going to roll for hit points, roll for that talent. It's asking me, do you want to add +2 to strength, dexterity, or constitution? I want this guy to be a beast at hitting, so I'm going to hit a 19. And essentially now I'll hit the PDF and you can see what it does. So in this case, it's generating it here. I think it'll do it on my PDF viewer. Yeah, so let me go ahead and just pull this out so you can see it completely up close. Now you should be able to see everything here. Again, if you can't, it's because of the resolution. But these are all the talents and bonuses, right? So he has add con to one, add con modifier to gear slots, weapon mastery, all these things. The good thing about all these is all of this right here, these talents, if they were spells, they would be already listed down here, all your bonuses. So you can see great sword +7, 1d12 +3 damage. Okay, so this is already factored into all this. It's all here, but it's all factored here. It's all into your attributes, so you don't really have to do anything. But I think the thing I do want to show you is the magic user. So this is a guy here. You can go ahead and screenshot this if you want to play this. But let's very quickly make a priest, just so you can kind of see that too. And then I'll show you the magic spells as well. All right, so we're going to roll until we get a decent priest. Give me the priest, wisdom 17, boom. This is first shot. Not as good as the other guy, but got 15 dexterity, beautiful, wisdom 13, boom. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna milestone this guy up. Okay, so boom, boom, oops, boom, boom. We're level 3. Now the one thing I realized is you're not supposed to be able to pick the same spell twice. If it happens to happen, I'm gonna allow it. With Game Master, you can have the spell listed twice, so you can cast, let's say, spiritual weapon twice. But as soon as you fail it, you lose the ability to cast it the one slot, and then you can cast it again to try to keep using it, because I think that's pretty legit and bona fide. It actually allows you to really create a specialized subclass type of character for Shadowdark, which I think any DM should just allow. Because, it sucks to be forced to cast spells you don't really want to do anyway. So here's the ability gain, tier 1 spell. Who does not want Shield of Faith? We're going to give him that. We're going to give him hit points, 8 more hit points, beautiful. Roll for the talent, +1 to priest casting. Again, this is all going to be factored in the sheet. And we get a tier 2 spell. You know what? I'm just going to do smite, just for the fun of it. It's 1d6, perfect. And then weird name, and good. So you can put your own name there if you want. And we're gonna export again. Okay. Now here's the character. You can see all the different stats. It's all factored in. Longsword +1 damage, spell cast. It tells you what it's gonna take. 1d4 plus 1d20 plus 40 cast spells based on spell tier. So again, the spell DC is 10 plus whatever the spell level is, and then so if it's a second level spell, it's a 12 DC to cast it successfully. And again, if you can just keep hitting that 12 or higher, you can keep casting the exact same spell. For the purposes of our game, we're not really going to focus on these gears or the gear slots, which is basically encumbrance, very simplified. But here's a screenshot here, and the cool thing is that this guy here also has a spell list. So if I go to the very next page, boom, you can see Cure Wounds, Protection from Evil, Shield of Faith, Smite, Turn Undead. It's all here. So you can take a screenshot of that and play this guy if you're really interested in it, okay? Now that we've created a character, we're going to take a look-see, getting you magic item and some equipment, and go over the basic rules of the 2-point action system. So today's game is the Magic Missile Volley. But for creating a character, I already went over this very list here. If you are using a different system, I would recommend using the ability stats modifier from Shadowdark, which is actually 5e, because you get much better bonuses. Okay, so just use these for strength, intelligence, all the different ability scores or stats, whatever you want to call them. So the very next thing I'm going to go over is the 2-point action system. So let's zoom in on that a little bit, a little too much. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, so the 2-point action system works really easy. In a lot of these OSR games, or 1E, 2E, BX, even OD&D, you have one action, or you have one action and move, right? In the games that have one action, one move, you can do move, or one action, but you can't do attack. So the 2-point action system adds some reactions, and it also adds your ability to attack twice or spell cast twice. So first things first, you get 2 points at any time. You have 2 points ready to go, so you can have reactions. But if you don't use any of those reactions, you can use them for your primary maneuver, which will be either move, melee, or spell cast. That's going to cost you a point. And for your second point, you can use a second move, which we know already it can do. But now you can do a second attack at a -3 penalty. Now the reason we do that is because if you attack once, just for role play, you work your opponent, and it's a lot harder for you to hit them that second time. So it's a -3 penalty to the attack. For second spell cast, it can only be a tier 1 spell, or in the case of some games, in case you're using a different PC from another game, it's a tier 1, level 1, circle 1, rank 1, or a cantrip spell, okay? It has to be single targeting, which means that it can only hit one person, and non-incapacitating, so nothing that can cause sleeping, slowing, anything like that. And in fact, for Shadowdark scrolls 1 through 6, I actually have listed on the right here all the spells that you can use for the second spell cast, okay? And it looks like the wizard is the one that can cast the most, with the witch second, and the priest, the only really second spell cast it has is Cure Wounds. Now, the reactions are anybody can parry, okay? So if you feel like it barely is going to hit you, you can do a block. Anybody can do this. You can pick up a shield, you can block a fist punch. It adds a -2 penalty to that attacker's roll, which in some cases would be sufficient to prevent you from being hit. If you're in a duel of some kind, or you have a shield, you can add your dexterity modifier if you're proficient, okay? So that's going to give you up to maybe even a +6, making you really a badass for these reactions, okay? The next reaction is called a dive. Now this is typically your last resort move, which means if you're about to die, you can do the dive reaction, and basically anywhere line of sight, you can dive up to 5 feet, well 5 feet at least, but up to your 1 plus your strength modifier in distance, okay? And basically what you do is you jump, you fall prone, you're on the floor, and it's going to take you 1 point to get back up, okay? It's down here at the bottom. Standing from prone takes 1 point. Not from seated. Seated is a free action, but from prone, it's a 1 point to do so. For miscellaneous, for the jump, I already went over this. It's 1 plus strength modifier, minimum of 1. And if you happen to move and jump anytime during the gameplay, you would be able to jump twice your move. You'll be able to do jump twice your jump number. Okay, and so at the very end of your turn, you basically use up all your points, and at the end of your turn, you can't save them. Uh, at the end of your turn, you get those 2 points back, right? You can't do nothing because your turn is over, but you got 2 points, and then now you can react if possible until your next turn, or just have 2 points ready to go. Okay. 2-point action system. Now monsters can use it, but it, for the purpose of our game, we're gonna say they don't use it. It's really reserved to only like around 21 monsters out of the 250 plus that are in the Shadowdark monster manual. Okay. Okay. So the next thing you want to do is we're gonna equip your player. Okay. And get him some equipment. And based on your level, so I don't know what you chose. If you chose level 3, then you get 30 gold pieces. If you chose level 7, you get 70 gold pieces to arm your character. So remember, we got that character sheet. Maybe has items that you don't really want, but now you can actually change all that up. Okay, 30 gold pieces. I'm going to pause occasionally on this, and this is for you to basically pause the video and take a look to see what you want. But remember, whatever your level is, times 10 is how many gold pieces you have. There's various weapons here. There's armors. Now, all the weapons here, they're from all the curse scrolls. So I added all the weapons there are, as far as I know. Curse 1 through 6, curse scroll 1 through 6, and the core Shadowdark game. Here's leather armor. If you need explanation for the properties, they're all listed here. This is all the properties for all the weapons. Okay. And if you want to take this character and continue to work on it and play with him on other adventures, you can actually, choose some basic gear if you want. Okay, here's some basic gear. Take a look. Keep in mind those gear slots. Okay, so but if you really want some of this basic gear, make sure you can pick any of this stuff. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get you a magical item. Okay. So let me go scroll over a little bit here. Not quite ready. Now I want this magical item to matter. Okay, so if you're a fighter, you can go ahead and choose armor or weapon, even potion if you want. Okay, but after that, you got to randomly roll what they are. Now sometimes these magical items will have a benefit and a curse. I completely removed the curses because I think it's, I don't think you would keep a cursed item around for long. So roll the 2d6. If you get a 12, you can actually get 2 benefits. So you get your bonus, then you can add your 2 benefits. Okay, so it makes it pretty powerful. Here's potions. Okay. And if you happen to choose a scroll, here's the scroll telling you which spells to choose. Okay, 2d12, very nice. 2d6, I apologize. And then once you choose the tier spell you're going to get, you can roll over here. Let's see which spell it is. Okay. Now, I could add a curse scroll spell list, but we're not going to. Basically use the core spells. If you don't know what any of these spells do, I'm going to put it in the description where to get the full spell descriptions, okay? And again, not necessary. You don't really need to get the utility stuff, but in case maybe you do want some utility, here's some utility items, some benefits. Here's the weapon bonus. If you did get a weapon, roll for the bonus. So it may have no bonus, but it might actually have a weapon benefit. Let me go back here real quick because I want to make sure. It's cool if you have a weapon that has no benefit plus 0 bonus, but it is a magical item. And in Shadowdark, there is a lot of monsters that require magic for you to hurt them. So it would work out pretty good. Okay, so here's the weapon. If you got a bonus, and then the weapon benefit. And this is it for the character creation. And the final thing you need, just in case you're on your phone right now, is a virtual roller. So we're going to go to dieharddice.com/pages/dice roller, or just put dieharddice.com and then type in virtual roller, and you should be able to get this. Okay, it gives you the full set of dice. There's a sweep here to get rid of it. You have advantage, 2 d20s. Okay, but let's do the 2 d20 real quick. You can drag them, throw them in the mimic, and it'll spit it out. Okay, I actually recommend don't taking the first roll after you fill them out, unless you want to, but don't cheat. 3d6, 2d6, sweep, 1d8, whatever, 3d4, 34. So here's your virtual die roller. So now you can play. I'm not paid by any of these guys. I have bought Dark Hide Dice in the past, but I found this virtual roller. I think it's cool. It's portable on your phone. Now you can play it anytime. Okay. And after that, I think we have our weapon, our character created. We should be able to play. So let's get to it. Magic Volley happening in St. Abby's.
It has been several hundred years since the collapse of the Astoria Golden Age. A collapse caused by power and magic. The great houses have fallen. Magic knowledge has been all but lost, and all major cities have been abandoned and overrun by plant life and monsters. All that is left are barricaded small secluded hamlets, villages, and scarce towns. You are in the age of ruin. It is also the age of exploration. The few who dare leave their protected walls seek fortune, a better life, or power. Be part of the few, the bold who seek to rebuild, face the dangers, and discover of unearthed arcana. Your journey begins now.
So it's been several hundred years since the fall of civilization, and all there's left is a bunch of small hamlets, very small villages, and very few rare instances are cities, but we actually are not aware of any in the near vicinity. If you've been with us since the beginning of St. Abby's, you went in, there was some mysterious magic. You can skip forward to where we actually start this if you've already seen all this or heard all this. But we heard of magic being discovered in St. Abby's. We investigated. We found a mad wizard. He seemed to bring the dead alive, statues alive. He was killed, buried. People came back to St. Abby's. Then all of a sudden, things started coming back to life. We found a crypt. This is it here in this image. We explored it. We fought a golem. And depending on how far you went, you either fought a roper and some wraiths and witnessed even an interdimensional door, or you made a run for it. Okay, so it just kind of depends. But now we've exited and we went all the way back. We're carrying a tome of magic, some form. So depending on what class you are, if you're playing from before, then you're just coming out of this tome. If this is your first time here, you were in the town. All of a sudden, these strange men with strange robes started arriving, and occasionally you would see an armored man with them, and they're basically asking about this strange magic. Now, everybody's spooked out because no one's seen such an organized group of people in quite some time. And you yourself, again, if this is your first time here, you volunteer to head down with a few of the townsfolk to where the crypt is to try to find out where these other heroes are that were inside the crypt, and to tell them, let them know what's going on. Okay, so you get here. So either you're getting here or you're coming out. Whatever the case is, you know what's going on. There's men in robes. There's a few armored men. They're asking about this magic. They're asking for essentially a book. Has anybody seen the book? And as you guys are sitting there talking about what to do, moments later, you start hearing footsteps and voices, and a large group of men start coming in. Marching in, and before you know it, you are essentially surrounded. Some of these men jump the fence. They start surrounding you, going up to you. And, you're like, well, before we get started, let's see how many henchmen you have. Okay, so depending on what level you chose, you're going to get henchmen equal to 10 minus the level that you chose. Okay, so if you're level 7, you get 3 henchmen. If you're level 3, you get 7 henchmen. I changed the henchman rules just a little bit because I want to make sure every time I use a henchman, previously, as soon as they roll an attack, they essentially die. Right? If they miss, they die. So I decided that's a little too weak. And so what we're going to do is I want you to collect your henchmen first, but I do want you to have a personalized experience. I'm not going to do this for you. Okay, and I'm going to let you choose either a ratio of henchmen or random of henchmen. Now, the reason I say this is because I've broken it up to 3 different types of henchmen. Either a footman, which is basically a regular soldier, an archer who stands in the back, or you can even acquire a captain. Okay, so if you chose level 7, your first 1 through 4 henchmen are going to be footmen. Then your henchman number 5 is going to be a archer, and you're going to have a captain. Okay, and that's 6. But you get 7 henchmen. If you're level 3, you're just going to get 1 more. Right, so it just kind of cycles back to the footmen and then go for it. So if you needed 12 henchmen, you would get 2 captains, 2 archers, and 8 footmen. Or you can randomize it by rolling the number of henchmen you're going to get, right? So between 5 and 10, you get a footman. 2 and 4, you're going to get an archer. And 11 and 10, 11 and 12, you're going to get the captain. Okay, so go ahead and make those rolls. Now you can pause the video. Give yourself this number of henchmen. Now remember, for your footman and archer, a 7 or less, they die. Okay, so don't just die for no reason when they attack. If they hit, they do 3 points of damage. And anytime you take a hit, you can sacrifice a henchman for yourself. Same thing with the archer. However, the archer, because he's usually, not in melee or engaged in melee, he's further back. So on a 7 or less, he also dies, but only if the monster has a ranged attack, okay? Meaning, the archer could be anywhere you are, or maybe up to 15 feet away from you. But if your archer is the only man left, and you roll a 7 or less, that means the monster charges and kills the archer, okay? That's the way that works. Otherwise, we can assume all your footmen are right next to you, surrounding you, within melee 5 to 10 feet of you, same as the captain, okay? And so the counter-strike rules, again, is anytime you attack, you roll, and if you get 7 or less, the henchman dies. If you hit the armor class, they do 3 points of damage, except for the captain does 4, and he dies on a 4 or less, okay? So with that being said, let's move this out of the way. And let's get back to the story. Okay, so you came out of the crypt. Now you're surrounded by a bunch of mages. And the one thing I didn't tell you is it's nighttime. That's why we have this kind of fog of war happening here. So you see all these mages come in, and this knight steps forward and says, "Give us the book. Give us the book now. All we want is the book, and you can go." Now, this is a little funny, but if you give them the book, your adventure ends, they let you live. They only want the book. But if you're a mage, or if you believe that this book is dangerous, you decide to make a run for it. Okay, you want to get the book out of here. And so you see there's a number here around the circle. Okay, this is what we're going to do to randomize what happens, right? So it's in vivo, it's a little railroady sometimes, but I'm not just going to force you to do things. There's some randomness that happens. And these other men that came out of the crypt with you, some of the other warriors that were there, not the henchmen you have, but some of the other ones, they actually basically run cover for you. And you begin to run away with your henchmen and the book. Okay, and clearly the only way to go right now is not top, bottom. You look to the left, you see there's men there coming to the gate. Can't go south. I guess you could go right, but we're just gonna roll a 1d4. How about that? And if you go 2, 3, 4, that's the direction you're gonna go. So let me go ahead and pull that D. Remember, the first pull out here is not gonna count. Put in the mimic. And we're not gonna do 1 of 4, of course, because that's where all wizards are. Come on, you gotta be kidding here. Do we trust the roller? Okay, 2 1s and a 3, whatever. So it's a 3. So you decide to head straight out upward. Okay, and I would say after every 6 squares, we're gonna go ahead and check again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Oh geez. Sometimes my computer lags. It's part of the reason why we don't do streams anymore. You get here, and you know what? We're here. You're not going to do it out here. So from here, we're going to say, which direction should I go? A second. Keeps doing this. You get outside here, and now you got to decide which direction you're going. Again, we're going to roll 5 and 6. You do not want to run back. You can hear the soldiers that are back behind you still battling. Okay, so now we need to roll the d4 again, randomly choosing where we're going to go. And again, we can go 1 through 4 this time. So, and when necessary, roll 6. So 3 again. Again, this is random. I don't control the dice. And so we're going to head up north a little bit. Again, we're going to do 6 10 squares at a time, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you know what? You know what? We're just going to jump this fence. So actually, we'll say we go around, okay? We decide to go into this crop field and try to get away. Okay, so now I want us to make a roll again. Now we don't want to roll a 6 yet. We probably don't want to roll a 5, but we're willing to go left, right, and diagonally to these locations. So let's roll that D4 again. We're just trying to escape. Look, there's a chance you can escape with the book and the adventure ends. This is all rando. Oh my god, it's confused. Okay, so it's 4. So this time you decide, there's a church down this way. So you decide maybe it's best if we head towards a church. So we start heading down this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And sure enough, we run into some mages, okay? So this is a dark time. They see you coming. They see you, you see them, and immediately they start shooting magic missiles at you, right? So I want you to do is make a DC 10. I know this is not exactly Shadowdark rules. That's what I'm saying. It's a hybrid of my own rules plus basically using Shadowdark. I want you to make a DC 10 dexterity check, or you take 3 points of magic missile damage. Okay. So we're going to do that DC 10 dexterity check. Again, now you can take the damage or let one of your henchmen die. Okay. And as you're doing that, you're getting ready to battle. As you're fighting these guys, you notice more and more wizards are coming from behind them. Okay, so if you want, you can attack them, but then you're gonna have to go through more. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna flee. So 1 through 3, we're gonna head to 1 through 3. Again, I'm not choosing it. It's just rolling a lot of 3s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're on basically a crossroad area. So now I'm going to have us roll 1 through 4 again, because it's basically being blocked off over here, but we can try to move around this. 1d4. All right, finally, a different number. So then we decide to take a left. So we start heading up this trail. Okay, and as we're heading up this trail, what do we see? We're heading through this field. How many steps were you? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're doing pretty good here. Okay, so we're going to continue to roll. Now we're either going to go. I don't think we want to head back towards 6, so we still don't want to roll 6 or 1. We're going to still do the D4. Okay. I know we're just doing a bunch of running right now. Next one is a legit combat. So we're going to go 2. So instead of going left, we're going to go head up north. And what happens? We encounter some wizards and a knight. Okay, so I want you to make a dexterity check. And if you succeed, then you get to attack first. You got 2 attacks. Not your henchman, just you get attacked first. Something just occurred to me. I gotta go back and pick up these stat blocks. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this stat block here, and you know what? I'm just gonna pin it to this fog of war. All right, now it's permanently part of us forever. We're gonna take it with us. So go ahead and roll the dexterity check. If you succeed, you get to take attacks. There's 3 mages here. Okay, 3 of these acolytes only have 4 hit points. Armor class 12. If you get within melee, or they can cast a 1 magic missile spell towards you, just go ahead and you roll. And then another rule of the henchman, which I didn't mention, you can use as many henchmen as you want. But as soon as they get that 7 or less, or if it's a captain, it's a 4 or less, they die. Okay, so if you roll 5 henchmen and they all fail, they all die. So you kind of want to, be picky about when you actually want to use your henchmen. And to be honest with you, once you get pretty low on those hit points, sometimes it's good just to have them to die instead of you taking hit points. So go ahead and I want you to battle out. There's 1 knight. Now this guy's a beast. He has 17 armor class, 14 hit points, 2 bastard sword attacks for +3 to attack, 1d8. And we're not going to use his oath. Okay, but we're just going to do that. So go ahead and play that out. Confrontation. Pause the video. Now I'm going to assume you've passed it. Okay, if you get to town, these guys are dead. You're still hearing occasionally a town person runs through here, runs past you. It's kind of spooky because out of nowhere they just kind of run past you. So the next thing I want to do is I want us to roll I don't think we want to head back if possible. I'll tell you what, if something weird happens, if we confront somebody here or somewhere, you may choose a 6 and start rolling maybe even a 5. So we're going to go 1d4 one more time. Oh, you know what? Let's just do the 1d6. Maybe we choose to head the other way. So let's sweep this d4. Again, it's a little random, right? We can't really choose it. I don't choose it right off the box. So let me grab this dice there in the mimic. 6. Oh my god. So we choose to run this way. Yeah, we're going to go 6 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're here and we're with our henchmen. There is a guy in the field. I want us to make a DC 10, just random chance. Okay, if you roll less than a 10 or 10 or less, let's say, yeah, 10 or less. Yes, 10 or less. This guy notices and he runs out here and takes a surprise attack at you guys because you're not going to see him. He's just going to come through this and he's going to take a surprise attack. Again, it's 2 attacks, I believe. Yep, with a +3 to the attack. So go ahead and roll a DC 10. Only if you fail, you have to battle the knight again. Another knight. If you succeeded, we're just going to proceed. Okay, so play it out if you have to. And now we're here. Now we need to roll our D6 again to try to determine where we're going to go now. I don't think we want to go too far down because we just came from there. But we're going to roll it one more time. The D6, just to see random. See what happens. 3. All right, so 3 tells us I want to go back. I guess maybe we're spooked out a little bit. We start heading back. We've destroyed these guys, so we're not going to deal with that. We're back to the same spot we were seconds ago. And now I want us to roll the D6 again. And in this case, we're going to ignore the 6 if we hit a 6 and ignore a 5. So let's do the D4. Sweep. And I go, always ignore on the first roll. 1. What is that? All right, so we start heading into the market. And as we run through, we see people hiding behind carts, screaming. You do see an occasional magic missile flying by. Once, that's like 3 of them. And then so you start running through the market. And again, we're going to do 6 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're going to make another random roll. I guess it's better that we do it at the end here, where there's actually somewhere to go. So we're going to stop here, make that random roll again. Hit the die roller. 4, 3. Okay. So we start heading up this way. Laggy. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's not what we wanted, okay? We see another knight. Actually, that's one of our men. So let's just say we acquired a henchman. So if you lost any henchman, you get +1. And as we're coming up here, we do see more of these acolytes. DC 10. Otherwise, they hit you with the magic missile. You acquire a henchman, but then you can battle them, okay? If you're in melee, they take a mace attack, +1 to attack. Otherwise, all 3 of these guys attack. Remember that. So you would do your 2 action point system attacks, and they just attack once. These 2 guys will magic missile. This guy will do melee. No, they'll just do mace attacks. They're close enough. So go ahead and play that out. And I'm going to assume you beat them. Okay. Now, I am going to give us the chance to roll 1 through, not 6. We're going to ignore 5. But we're going to roll 6-sided dice. Oops, why did I do that for? Ah! Okay, here's the 6-sided dice. Ignore the 5. Remember, never take the first roll. 3. Fate does what it wants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we get up here. We're trying to decide what to do. Let's roll that D4 again. Vulnerable. Remember, never on the first. 4 anyway. That's down, so we start running down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Relatively empty field here. And we're gonna roll that D4. I guess you don't want to run back. In the Mimic. Here we go. 3. Now we start heading up this road. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say we get to this fork here. And now we need to make the decision. Do we go left or right? Again, D4. Put in the Mimic. Let's see what happens. Can't decide. A 1. Start hitting left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And as we're getting here, you know, sometimes these things just work out in a very interesting way. Let's do one more 1d4, but we're not going to choose 4. So 1 to 3, basically. Could roll a 6, but we're just going to do the 1d4, ignore 4. No 4s, no whammies. 1. Continue to run up through this field here. 5, 6. Oh my god. Alright. Again, I didn't choose it. We see 3 wizards. Oh my god. It's not what we wanted, but it's happening, guys. We see 3 wizards. And believe it or not, this is a fire giant. So first thing I want you to do is make a DC 10 to see if these guys see you first, these wizards. If you fail, magic missile attack at you. It hits. I mean, it just hits. And you take 3 damage or you lose a henchman. It's up to you. And at the same time, as you're getting ready to fight these wizards, so we're just going to say they're coming at you, or you're fighting them, a freaking... Look, you can't make this stuff up. I only put this guy up here. I didn't know we were going to roll this way. Fire giant essentially comes in. You can see he's huge. He has 15 armor class, 44 hit points, 3 attacks. You know, this is not a great sword, but it's 3 attacks with the great sword. 2d12 freaking damage. Okay, apologies. And because we made it this far, we're going to say this is the final boss. Okay, so we have 3 wizards here, 3 acolytes. Let me move this stat block down here so we can have a 1 shot of everything. Okay, 3 wizards. They all have 1 attack. No knights, just the acolytes. This fire giant has 3 attacks. Okay, remember your henchman rolls 7 or less for archer and footmen. They die. They need to roll armor class to cost 3 points of damage. And if you have a captain, does 4 damage and dies on a 4 or less. 2-point action system. Only you can use it. Good luck. Now, if you want to survive, if you have 0 hit points, you're about to die, you surrender. And you just give them the book. And the fire giant says, all that fuss for you to give up that book and have all your comrades die. What a fool. What a petty little man. Or woman. And after acquiring the tome, he pulls out a horn, makes a big horn noise. You see dozens and dozens of acolytes approach the fire giant, and they all move to the west. And that's it, everybody. This is Don Franco 3, Age of Ruin and Exploration. I should tell you, if you're interested, to go to donfranco3games.com. RPG Boons tab. We have the 2-point action system there. We also have the Vitaemancer, which is what this magic is all about in this tome. It's kind of like the answer to the Necromancer that doesn't really, really have a lot of minions, and so I kind of developed it more like Diablo style, Diablo 2, where you can have lots of minions if you can cast the spell correctly. and actually give medium boon. So it's a pretty cool class. Go ahead and check it out. Also have the Arcane Scrapper there, which is kind of like a Mortal Kombat style scrapper that uses magic spells essentially to execute certain maneuvers. And I also have the Mentalist class, which is kind of a more of a bard-ish style type of character, but has a lot of spells that it can cast too. The Magic Missile Volley at St. Abby's, Sword and Sorcery style adventure, because this has nothing to do too big. This has nothing to do with epic, you saving the world. This is about just your character, stories about your character that you can actually use to build upon any PC that you have. It's very personal battles.